refugees are often treated really poorly. And so that particular work, This Is Not a Refuge, is very much about that idea of human beings looking for homes, safety. Hi, I'm Anila Quayyum Agha, and this exhibition is titled Geometry of Light at the Seattle Asian Art Museum. Thrilled to be here. My earliest memories were often these shadows that I remembered with a lot of fondness. My parents would often take us to two particular places that were built by the Mughals. One was the Shalimar Gardens, and the other was the Jahangir's tomb. Visiting those two places, I became very interested in the jalis. They're like windows, but they have these cutouts. It's sort of like similar to the artwork back here. These types of jalis were necessary for climate control. I, on the other hand, loved the shadows that were created. There was sort of like this metaphor that you can see in the way the shadows overlay each other and overlap. And so that also kind of helped me realize how our lives are patchworks. They overlap with multiple histories. Often my story may be very similar to your story. And so there are lots of commonalities between people, but there are also differences. And so those contradictions started becoming very apparent in my life. While I was in the first and second year of college, my father passed away. So I and my older sister had to go to school and go to work to kind of take care of the family. The one way I could get to the art school was that I had to make a deal with my mom that I would study textiles. It was like making a deal with her so that I would be able to have a job in case, something happens to my spouse, which was expected of me anyway, that I would end up getting married and somebody else will take care of me. But like the expectation was that I should have a skill. And so pattern was very much part of that. So light, pattern are two items that I use as materials for my work. The big installation work that I make takes a year, maybe 6 months to build. And so when I'm making and I'm thinking, I'm also thinking about how to make those works, the flat works. They're all done on paper, but I use textile processes on them. I use cutouts, or I use beading, and I use thread to bind the pieces together. And I started putting them in shadow boxes. Once they went into the shadow boxes, I realized that they are actually objects. They are not really just wall pieces. They are three-dimensional. And so in a sense, they became like sculptures. And from there, it was not a big step to move there. I think this work is political. Even though it looks so decorous from the outside, that particular work, This Is Not a Refuge, is very much about that idea of human beings looking for homes. The more we use up the world's resources, the more we are going to want it from countries that don't want to give it to us. And so more wars are going to happen and more people are going to get displaced. And I'm not the crying kind, but it brings a tear to my eyes every time I listen to something really awful and I think to myself, humans doing it to humans, and humans doing it to animals, and humans doing it to the earth, and that's hard to accept. So I'm making work that brings people in, allows them to think about the contradictions, life and death maybe, or light and shadow, and then maybe see some stranger and go up to them, talk to them, and try to understand what are the cultural differences between us. And so I guess what I want people to take away is the connectivity that they can create by coming into a space that suits them but also challenges them.